and she said she was inspired by the Jenner story. Can you believe this? This is awesome. How could any African American not puke from her? Listen to clip 18.
Just yesterday, I finally had a chance to read Caitlyn Jenner's
I hate her voice.
piece.
What's the snotty laughing
and really
voice?
just.
Shut up! Get her off my show. If we lived in a sane nation, she would have been arrested immediately for impersonating someone. You know that there's actually a crime if a person says he fought in Vietnam and didn't. Isn't there groups that look into that? I forget what they're called. Or people claim they earned the Medal of Honor, and if they didn't earn it, they actually can be imprisoned for that. Oh, someone passed a law. I believe that there should be a law passed for people impersonating races that they don't belong to. I think it's a disgrace. In an age of such sensitivity about such issues, I believe this is a nightmare that we're living through. But if you listen to her voice, what you hear is a snide, snickety, self-impressed liar through and through, in my estimation, who has just simply been out for herself from day one, from the get-go. And look where she got. She learned her lessons very well. Book deal, reality show, probably be invited to the next White House shindig. I wouldn't doubt that she wouldn't be on the A-list after this. She'll be amongst many, many people just like her, if not, let us say, genetically, at least spiritually, in using race as a weapon to get ahead. WGDJ Radio. Chris, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Mike, I'd like to move this sexual conversation up one rung on the ladder. You know,
I hate when someone starts out like that. That means I'm down the ladder from you. But go ahead, make your point.
I hate to mean that. Well, when it comes to gay people, I think they should be. It should be allowed. It should be enjoyed because they're generally more artistic than most. But I don't think.
I think that's a myth, by the way.
Well,
I think that's a stereotype that all gays are autistic. But go on, go ahead.
I'm not saying all, but boy, they are.
All right, fine. Yeah, I get it. All right. So what's your main point?
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that coming from the left, if like a Marxist or whatnot, I mean, if you believe in the collective, you're trying to do the greater good. I don't believe that promoting all this new sexual agenda is for the greater good. If you really,
of course it's not. Of course it's not for the greater good. I have proven beyond a reasonable doubt that this is part of a Marxist plan to destroy the whole basis of our society. What do you mean for the greater good? When you have children cross-dressing in an elementary school in Italy, what do you think the purpose of that is? It's to break apart the whole concept of gender, then family, then mother, then father. It breaks down the whole society. Family is the brick of a society.
I agree, but you see, now we're centering on the cross current between the left and reality. I mean, the left is trying to do the greater good for the collective, and this is this is an interference with the greater good. So
wait, you say the gay movement is trying to do the greater good for the greater many? Are you sure?
Well, I think the collective tries to work for the greater good. That's their motive, as I understand.
But do you actually believe it? That's a communist credo.
Yes, but that's what we're talking about.
Well, one of the communist credos is equality for all, meaning everyone is exactly equal. How did that work out in Mao Zedong's China?
Good. And
you remember in the 1970s, the popularity of the little blue suits, the little blue hats with a red star? They were worn in San Francisco. Everyone smiled about it. They thought it was just fun and games. They didn't know about the 60 million who had been slaughtered by Mao Zedong. They had no idea what they were aping, marching around with the little red book. Well, the fact of the matter is he tried to make communist China equal, and they wound up killing 60 million people who weren't equal enough. The Chinese outgrew Mao Zedong. They have abandoned it. They have a freer form of capitalism in China than we do here. Do you know that?
Yes. Well,
do you know that they pay lower federal income taxes in China than we do here? Do you know that Barack Obama's federal income taxes are higher than that paid by the richest people in China?
I understand exactly. My point, I'm going to try to summarize this. I
wish you would. I've got the TMJ from this conversation.
I'm sorry. Well,
I'm joking. I'm just in a giddy mood.
No, this whole sexual thing is an I call it a wonderful aberration, but I believe in the French, vive la différence. That's
right. In other words, you're an old skirt chaser in plain English.
I say so.
I just tickled your funny bone, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
In other words, you don't want to chase a skirt only to find out you were chasing a pant.
Yes, and one more point I'd like to make. If you look into the psychological literature, if you try to impart all of this spectrum of sexual choices to young children, children are very sexually malleable, and
that's exactly why they're doing it, right? Young children do not know what sex is. They don't know what their sexuality is. You can shape them into almost anything you want. And that's why in Italy they've stood up to the perverts and said, you're not going to do this cross-dressing in kindergarten. Screw you. They're standing up to the deviants and the perverts who have done this behind their back. My friend, I am sending you a copy of Countdown to Mecca. The minute I return, I'm going to tell you why I'm giddy. I'll give you a hint. Tomorrow, I actually will not be on the radio. I took the day off for a medical exam for an MRI. Magnetic resonance, a magnetic job. I'll tell you why I'm giddy. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUY-COIN. Well, as promised, I have to now admit why I'm giddy today. As I said, I have been suffering some severe neck pains for a long while, and I have a neurologist friend who set me up. First, I had a cancer specialist friend who set me up for an MRI about 6 months ago. Well, I went in the machine, and I lasted, 2.5 minutes. And then I pressed the alarm switch and got out. I couldn't take it. I hate the MRI. I can't take it, the claustrophobia. I felt like I was like being shoveled into a coffin. I mean, I'll admit my weakness. I couldn't take it. So now I have a neurologist friend who said, you have to get an MRI of your neck so we know what's going on. Okay, I agreed to it. So it's set for tomorrow. I canceled it an hour before the show because you can say, well, it's irrational or just justifying it. No, listen to me. There are doctors, alternative medical doctors, who have used and still use magnets for healing. Did you know that? It's a little-known aspect of alternative medicine. Some of you may know about it. You say, it's crackpot. No, it isn't. So my logic is that if magnets can heal, why then the logic would dictate the magnets can also harm. There's not much known about the potential harmful effects of the MRI. And I'm not talking about the dye because I wouldn't have used that anyway. I am talking specifically about magnetic energy on soft body tissue. So I called a friend of mine who was an expert in alternative medicine, a fine MD, and I asked him, I said, you've used magnets in healing. He said, well, there's no known negative effects of MRIs. I said, I understand there's no known negative effects because no one's done the study, or it's almost impossible to know anyway. I said, cancer takes 20 years to generate, so how would you know what it's from? So anyway, we talk and talk. I said, so what's your experience in using magnets in healing? He said, I found that it made the conditions worse. The magnets cause inflammation. That was it for me. I called the clinic and canceled it. My intuitive sense is that high magnetic energy on soft tissue would cause some unknown harm, possibly in the long run, maybe even in the short run. But more than that, I've actually eliminated the neck pain I've had for almost a year now. It all started with a bad massage that migrated around my neck, but it was all related to my using free weights. I gave away my weights to the gardener yesterday. I've stopped using the weights about 4 weeks ago, and the pain is virtually gone. I pinched a nerve with the free weights. So now I am flabby and pain-free. And I would rather be flabby and pain-free than look like an Adonis and walk around racked with pain. This is your favorite talk show host, Michael Savage, saying goodbye and hello. I'll be back in a few minutes in most of America.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
It is hour number 3 of The Savage Nation. You made it with me. So we have a number of topics that people are excited about. I can't repeat them. You know, Trump is one of the big ones. Everyone loves him, except the toe dust out there, toe dust at the National Review. Toe dust at the alphabet channels. They don't like Trump because he is not really not a he's one of the wealthiest men in the world, and yet he's not a member of the established political structure. And these stooges are there only to be mouthpieces for the established political parties or candidates. It's that simple. So we like Trump. They don't. Toe dust doesn't. We do. We have the fake black woman who has still not been arrested yet for impersonating someone of another race, and I think she should be arrested either by local, state, or federal authorities. There has to be some statute that she violated. There must be. There must be. And to prove this, I will again suggest the following. If you are a young Caucasian male, I suggest you go try to find a scholarship or such at a college reserved only for minorities, because there are such. And then you check the minority box, whatever it may be. And then when you win, and they find out that you're not a minority, see what they do to you. Why, how dare you not be a fill in the blank? Why, we're going to call the proper authorities. You won't get a reality show. You won't be invited on a Today Show. No. So why should she? She violated not only common sense and decency, but she violated the law. And so to revere this woman is sickening all around. So that's topic number 2. Michelle Obama goes to London, and she goes to a Muslim area in England that has produced some of the most radical of all of the Muslim areas in England. 5 or 6 suicide bombers came out of this very district. And she addresses the girls at the Muslim school and says that I look like you, I am you, I relate to you. And again, she plays the victim. Why is she doing that? What is she after? What is Michelle Obama's end game? What do they have in mind when they finally stop plaguing us? That's if that ever happens. And then we talked about the Pope and the effect the Pope is having on the Catholic Church. I would say amongst uneducated attendees, they love the guy. They don't know who he is or what he's doing. He smiles a lot. He's kindly. He's fatherly. He seems nice. That's enough for the average American and for the average Catholic. In the third world, he's a big hit because they don't even know what he's talking about. And they like the airplane, they like the Pope-mobile, they like all the apparatus. But he's a hardcore communist. I don't care what you tell me. I mean, I can read with my own eyes and listen. I know what he's saying. He's espousing liberation theology. And this thing with global warming was the last straw for me. Because he has no business stepping into such a debate when he has no background in science, number one. And number 2, it's part and parcel of the UN world tax crowd. It's a straight-out method to control the middle class around the world with fear tactics about the world is coming to an end, the sea is going to rise, it's mainly going to affect the poor people. It's rubbish. That's the same crap being put out by the American colleges that tell us there's no such thing as gender. So I do resent any religious figure stepping into the political world in the United States of America where there's a stone wall between church and state. That's my position, Teddy. That's my dog, who I refer to every once in a while. He is now sitting in the armchair staring at me, listening to his master's voice. I would say that my dog, having listened to shows for he's 11 now or so. He's caught almost every one of my shows except Mondays and Fridays when he goes to the groomer. I would say Teddy is far more intelligent than the average American voter. And luckily he can't talk. If he could, he'd have the biggest radio show in the dog world. I could get him a job in a minute, at least as a fill-in host. God, I would love to have Teddy as a fill-in host. Could you imagine? I would say Teddy barking on the air would be more intelligent than most of the conversation that comes out of the political class. It's certainly better than what you hear from Al Sharpton. That's my opinion. Sits and reads a teleprompter. Unbelievable. How could Bill Gates not understand that we're smart enough to know why he lets this lout Al Sharpton continue to espouse left-wing double talk on MSNBC. You think we don't know, Bill Gates, why you're doing it? Why you let him and the other liars on the left? You think